checking in with a little conflict of nations on the Algeria series. And today we're going to specifically look at a few things. First, we're going to take a look at the overall rankings in the game and then determine where we've been, where we're at. We're going to talk about diplomatic relations on the board and how it's changed over the past couple of days. We are going to also talk about population growth and how that happens over time. So we're going to dive into that right away. Let's take a look at the diplomatic relations. We'll get rid of the news events. And so on here you can see that we are number 3, 16 cities. We just took one, and 205 VPs. So not a bad start for us with Congo, our ally, being up there. And then if you notice, we're also allied with South Africa now. So I'm going to explain what happened with South Africa. If we look at the map, it's pretty much all green, and we're closing out the last couple of areas here. And then and Mali will get closed out as soon as this air base is completed in an hour. I will be able to ferry this strike squadron over, knock out this boy right here without losing my ground troop in there. So this is no longer smoking. The morale is fine. There's no chance, it's a zero, that it's going to have an uprising, and so it will just get better and better. So once we ferry this over to here, we'll knock out that tank, and then we'll take the rest of these territories. I don't want to lose this guy because I'm running low on infantry. So, and this guy can't get quite down there without running out of gas to get that guy right there. So once we ferry it out, it'll be fine. The other thing too is that in our tech tree we researched guided missile program, and that's now complete. And what that means is now we can start research on the cruise missile once we get enough resources, and that will allow us to shoot rockets out of our planes. Cruise missiles, which would take out infantry and tanks very fast at this stage in the game. And that's kind of why I favor using the strike fighters early, and using them late in the game too. They're extremely effective on there, especially if you launch them out of a stealth plane too. So, which I've not done. I just am working towards that technology in this game. All right, so. The thing that has changed the most is not only the relationship with South Africa down here and working the diplomatic, is we were going to three-way through Egypt and all the way up through here, but instead I decided to let those guys take all these territories two-way, and then because I'm allied with the UK here and they have half of Spain, I took the east coast of Spain, and then I'm coming up through France. Now my other ally, Poland, is here, and the UK has taken Germany, right? They've kind of split this off here because that's Poland. Poland, I think that's a starting Polish town, but so you can see where they're coming down into Munich as well. And then he's fighting France down here, where France was pushing objectively through, so it was a great time for me to backdoor Spain and come up through south of France because I'm not allied with France. We took Barcelona last night. We took Toulouse. So if you look at Barcelona, actually, let me click on the city. We've got 7.5 hours till we annex that in, and I think the chance is about a 1/3 chance, 37%, a little bit higher, that the insurgents will take it. So I'm trying to get that tank up there, and shoot my strike fighter out a little bit early because this guy is patrolling now, and he's not attacking that tank. So we're just going to go ahead and put him right on there. I don't know why the patrol feature does that sometimes, but it does though. So anyway, he did take a swipe at this tank, and he went from lost about, I don't know, 13 hit points. That sounds a little bit much for one strike, but we're going to roll with it and let that plane go and do its thing, fighting this tank regiment though. And if you look, there's no damage on the strike fighter. It's strong against tanks, and tanks are strong against other tanks and infantry. So that strike fighter will fly back and forth, and every hour we'll take another 13 hit points. So roughly about 4 hours, that guy will be done. That'll take us 3 hours to the reset and the insurgency. So once that happens, we'll be able to move some infantry up and take Bordeaux right after the insurgents land. And what that does is it gives us a full 24 hours before the insurgents land again. So you kind of want to time your attacks with that so you don't take a city and then it immediately goes into insurgency. That's a rough day right there. So let's talk the last part now that we've looked at the diplomatic relations on the board and the rankings and all that stuff. Let's talk about population control. So if you look on here, my weakest is electronics, followed by rare, and that's not uncommon to have rare down, but we are very low on electronic stuff. And right now, Oran is a 7. So if I pop in this city, if that's a 7, and I take a look, we'll pop open what we can build there. man, like we've got um, our arms industries aren't even on here because they're a level 10. So if I pop open my cities tab and I look for Orin here, boom, boom, where is it at? Orin. You'll notice that the arms industry is a 5. So there's not a whole lot I can do here with a 5 on there besides work on population now. And if I worked on population, let me open up Orin, then these numbers increase based on how many people live in your town and produce, right? So the way that you would raise your population is by building underground bunkers and military hospitals. And then these two factors would help you raise your population the most right now. In the past, in some of the games, the population has been a little bit buggy and they've tweaked here and there. And so some of the older games are still running the older map, the map stuff. They don't update as well as starting a brand new game. But you need to finish these old games. So one thing you can do is take a look at here, and you can look at, is the morale 100%? Is the morale trend going up? Yes. What are the morale factors? It's neighboring morale, civilian casualties, at war with 3 nations. So I've got a -1 for civilian casualties and a -3 for at war with 3 nations. But I do have buildings, which is underground bunkers, +9. So you can see how that raises the morale, as well as the military hospital, which we'll be building eventually. And that's the main factors you want to look at population building. And then as you get down the line, obviously, if that's your main thing that you need, then you would want to build that. For me, I also wanted to build a secret weapons lab because I wanted to build conventional warheads up. I need to start storing them because they can get shot out from these guys right here, which is the cruise missile, and we need to save up the technology. We have the rares, but we need to save up, I believe, let me see if I hit start here. Yeah, we need 2,000 more supplies here, and then that would give us the ability to shoot these cruise missiles from these guys right here, which is our strike squadron, right? So we would be able to pop on the missile button and then boom. But haven't done conventional cruise. And so anytime you have a unit where you want to take a look at launching something off of it, you would go into it, click on it, and it will tell you what you need to research to shoot it. So we can do conventional cruise missiles, chemical cruise, and nuclear cruise off of here. And they're extremely pricey to run, right? So this is the cruise missile line. It would take, look at what the resources take to boost this up. 7,500 cash, 4,000. That's a really, really expensive. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 7,500. You're going to run about, what is that, about 35,000? No. That's going to be like 42,000. Yeah, about 45,000 on there. It's going to require 7 times 2, 14, and then 3,500. So it's going to require 17,500 rares, and then of course a ton of the supplies right here. So keep in mind when you're researching these, sometimes you're only going to get to the first one, but look at the difference here. If I click on here and I look at the cruise missile, it's going to attack the infantry's at 14 or 15, which will take out most low-level infantries. Tanks at 40, which is going to leave them with 10 hit points. So really effective against tanks, really, really effective against infantry, where it can one-shot most of the bottom infantry, right? So as we go up the chain here, and you take a look at it, still nothing changes, 15 and 40. Let's look, 15 and 40, right? I don't think the range is getting any higher. 400 here. I think this one was 600 because it was the fuel. Yep. So you get to shoot them a little bit further there. Let's take a look here. The next level upgrade, now you go 25 and 70. And that's going to one-shot just about every single unit you have on there. Now, if it's a stack of units, it's not going to be nearly as effective, but that's when you're going to have to launch 3, 4, 5 of them to like clear stacks of stuff. And then, of course, if you get down to the end, they're 30 and 90. They become very, very lethal, and at low... when you're talking about end game and closing out and you're running about 30 strike fighters and you have about 100 of those cruise missiles, you'll be firing them every 8 hours that they come up for. I believe it's 8 hours for them to reload, but you'll be using those a lot. So anyway, that's the introductory for strike fighters and cruise missiles as well. If you have any questions about this or the update, please don't hesitate to write in the comments. I get a lot of veteran guys that watch these, and I get a ton of in-game messages too with like, hey, don't forget to add this because this thing also does this. I'm still learning the game, so help me learn along, guys, and I appreciate the views. Have a great day. See ya.